government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative deficit, I can play for the programs many times over.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. I have not talked to America Shirts. America Shirts, are you around? If you are, you're more welcome to join. Otherwise, you see it says so much news. I got so much news, it's ridiculous. Just so much. I don't even know if we'll make through all of it. We'll try. We'll try our hardest. We'll see how far we get. Say hi to everybody real quick. What's up, Divinity? How you doing, dude? Hello, beautiful. Madcore Mofo in the house. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. And Danielle, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're all here. Hang out. We're going to go through a bunch of news from the last few days. Yo. What up, Jimmy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Again, great liquor. Great liquor sitting over on the Rumble side, holding down the fort all by himself. Glad he's there. Glad he's there. Mike, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, like I said, there's a lot of news. There's so many tabs here. It's ridiculous. I don't even know. I tried my dangest to actually put it in some kind of a order. I don't know if I did. I don't know if I got it in order. I don't know. I tried my hardest to actually get it in order. There's so many articles that I didn't want to actually get rid of because there's just so much good stuff. Let's do these. Not excited with that screen. Let's do one of those. What else we got here? Nobody? Anybody else? What's up, Great Liquor? You dancing? Banana dancing over there? By yourself. Excited for this show to get going. Here you go. Putin reveals de-dollarization progress in trade with China. So we've already kind of talked about Putin and his de-dollarization of, making the U.S. dollar worth nothing in the global market. Which, it really kind of deflates it, here at home as well when we actually look at it. Inflation rates kind of turn it to crap. It looks like he's got it up to 80%. Ben Frail, good to see you. Glad you're here. Looks like he got it over 80% of transactions between Moscow and Beijing on rubles and yuan. So for him to actually go to the point of actually making 80% of his transactions between Moscow and Beijing in their own currency and taking out the US dollar from the transaction, making it no longer our business, making it no longer our business, has nothing to do with us. It is all them, it's all theirs. They're growing their economies as well as they possibly can, especially coming out of um, a pandemic that we do or that we have. To actually come out of that pandemic and actually realize where we're actually going with it. Russia, China, India, Saudi Arabia all stop using the dollar, and the U.S. is screwed. Yep. And that's what it's saying is like now they're at 80% of certain deals between Russia and China are either currently using rubles or yen or yuan, and they've totally took out the U.S. dollar, removed it from play, made it worth absolutely nothing, and now being that it's actually worth nothing, it's getting screwed even further on the global market. Our U.S. dollar is worth absolutely nothing to them. They don't care. And you can see that Ben said and named off Russia, China, India, and Saudi Arabia. Russia, China, Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India, and Pakistan became permanent members in 2017 of the same organization. That is actually, but Shanghai Corporation Organization that he's speaking of. When you actually speak of the monies being used and no longer have anything to do with the U.S. dollar, it really degrades it. It degrades it greatly from where it was. And it's not that it's just like particular goods either. They make it sound like it's trade and economic cooperation. It isn't like a specific just oil. According to Putin, the volume of trade between Russia and fellow SCO member states reached a record of $263 billion in 2022. The figure was up from 35% in the first 4 months after the year. He noted the share of the ruble in Russia's settlements with the SCO countries exceeded 40%, Putin said. Trade between Russia and China has continued to accelerate after hitting a historic high at $190 billion in annual terms in 2022. Exports and imports have surged in double-digit pace since the beginning of the year. According to the custom data, bilateral trade soared into the $93.8 billion in January through May, marking a 40.7% increase, chambered with a year ago. Russian Finance Minister Anton Silanov recently said that the bilateral trade is on track to surpass the target of $200 billion a year earlier than anticipated. They're reaching targets that they wanted to reach next year, this year. It's no longer Western goods, really, when it comes down to it. Though it's being produced in a Chinese factory and sold through another country to make it to Russia. And it's now it's their goods. They're taking our stuff. They're taking our stuff that away from us. You wrong. What up? How's it going? Good to see you. Sitting over on that Rumble side says Chinese are sucking on rocks for gourmet food. China, Iran, Iraq, and Russia are starting to create their own banking system to push the American dollar. This isn't a surprise. It's not really a surprise, is it? Yurong also says the next step is to push the other countries into use Chinese currency or Chinese slave products instead of dollars. I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing with the yuan. Is it's Chinese currency. Chinese currency is being used more and more, making it worth more, making the U.S. dollar worth of trash, barely even worth the paper that it's printed on. Baby Bat, good to see you. Glad you're over there. So much news. Yes, so much news. There's just so much. It's ridiculous. We'll see if we can make it through it tonight. So I mean, I think we all kind of understand that the U.S. dollar's, is anticipatingly getting worse, and it's going to continue to get worse as no other country really cares what the United States has to say anymore. They're like, no, you're not number one. Instead of making them number one, they're giving them and flying a middle finger, calling them number one. So then, U.S. Navy says it's repealed Iranian efforts to seize oil tankers. There's been an ongoing deal with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz has always been a volatile area, contested areas. And it looks as though they were attempting to seize a couple oil tankers within the last day here. And the U.S. Navy's actually gone ahead and held them off, allowed the tankers to actually flow freely. So the United States Navy has said it's prevented Iranian forces from seizing 2 oil tankers near the Strait of Hormuz. The latest in a series of such incidents in one of the world's most vital energy passageways. This isn't something new. We've actually been hearing about this kind of stuff happening for decades. And now all of a sudden they're like, we're going to show you how much interest we're actually have in this area and what is actually being shipped in and around through the Strait of Hormuz, so that you understand that, worse comes to worse, Iran's still there. Iran is still there. And they don't care about us. They don't give a shit about us. Gas, oil, India up. I mean, I see what you're saying. Your stuff, it was more of a goods thing as opposed to it just being gas, oil. Russians buy Western goods through India. Russians sell their oil through India. Goods under embargo wherever manufactured. There's always something. There's always something on where money is actually tied up and who has the interest in it and who's on the board. Hunter Biden. Hello, everyone. Stop by to hit the like button on the way to bed. Sleep well, Rabbit. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Maybe we'll catch you on a replay crew. I know you're busy. So either way, it looks like Iranian forces are still trying to seize oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. It's been something that's been going on for like I said, decades. As long as I can remember, this is not something that's really new. The reason it caught my interest is because the U.S. Navy decided to actually intercept whoever it was that was attempting to take over these oil tankers. They decided to intercept. They don't always intercept. It's something that doesn't always happen. And when it does, kind of makes it kind of sound a little bit of an escalation of sorts where the United States is like, no, you got to let our oil through. We can't allow you to actually continue to sidetrack our stuff. It's expensive. It's expensive, and there's not much you can really do. Fun-loving couple. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. You hit it for you. Who'd you hit it for? All of us? Hit that like button. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit whatever button it is that's around. So, again, Iran, rearing its head. We're going to hear a lot more about these countries. These countries are not going to sit idle. They're going to actually start doing a lot more. You're going to actually hear about this a little bit more often, I would assume. You're going to hear about altercations with the U.S. Navy and vessels trying to obtain oil whenever possible. They do it. They do it all the time, and it's going to continue. Drop the like over here. Thanks, babe. Bet. Good to see it. Good to see it. New paramilitary group surfaces out of southern Mexico. So, trying to keep it world news. I usually try keeping it where I'm not bouncing from one side of the planet to the other. Really don't know what kind of order I got this in. New paramilitary group surfaces out of southern Mexico as cartel violence spreads. Very interesting looking Mario-ish, maybe more Boy Scout-ish, Girl Scout style gear. Kind of interesting. New paramilitary group surfaced out of southern Mexico, claiming they have taken up arms to defend against the cartel-connected paramilitary group. The rise of paramilitary groups comes at the time when Mexico's government has been unable to contain a rapid spread of cartel violence plaguing the country. Criminal organizations openly challenge and force police and military forces into submission. We're not going to show that. Recently, in southern Mexico state of Chiapas, a group calling themselves the Civil Army of Indigenous People of Panthelo began sending videos and statements claiming to take up arms. The group claims it formed to defend residents against another paramilitary group calling themselves Los Machetes. The group known as Los Machetes first made headlines in 2021 when it began carrying out a series of attacks and cells connected to the Sinaloa cartel and local politicians, according to news articles from the time. Los Machetes carried out ambush-style attacks, used explosives, and displayed advanced tactical training. I really don't know what their total objective really is, where they're actually trying to become a civil army. It's something that most states in the United States are supposed to do, but they really don't. Bad course spamming. What is up? What's going on? Really don't know what this group is actually about, where they're actually going to go, where they're going to try taking over their own current government, why they feel they need to actually take up arm against other citizens. Makes it kind of disturbing and scary in itself to actually believe that these countries are they are really worse off than what we are. So the arrival of new paramilitary groups in southern Mexico comes soon after cartel gunmen kidnapped 16 police employees. In another part of the state, the group carried out kidnappings as a way to pressure officials into firing corrupt government employees. So, taking out and trying to remove government employees kind of sounds a little insurrectionist like, I guess. It really seriously sounds like there's a lot going on where they actually want to remove the corrupt government employees. If we actually seen groups like that were actually trying to do the same thing here in the States, they would be throwing a hissy fit. They would be, nope, this is not happening. This is not making the news. Unless there were feds. The incident sparked much controversy, and Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador made light of the situation by claiming that it was the cartel gunmen did not release their victims. He did tell their parents the gunmen ultimately released the victims, but to date, authorities have not made any arrests. So it seems as though there's a large group of people that are actually being publicized as being known to actually be their own militia to actually take out government officials. It sounds interesting. Sounds very interesting. Sounds like something that some countries might need to actually think about, might want to take up in the near future. Make it something that we all can really get along with. Allow us to actually go ahead and continue to form large groups of militia. Whatever, Divinity, you know better than that. It's still growing. It's at 12 inches now. It's at 12 inches now. See, I knew it. I'm going to go flying around the country from one side of the country to the next. China-owned car company could get a boost from Biden tax credits meant to help U.S. automakers. Of course they would. Why wouldn't the money be intended for the United States be given to China to allow them to actually flourish? The United States, we don't need money. There's no reason. Chinese conglomerate is looking to gain a foothold in U.S. auto market and may get a boost from President Joe Biden's administration. Polestar, founded in 2017 by the Chinese corporation Xinjiang Geely Holding Group and the Swedish subsidiary of Volvo, has most recently made inroads with the U.S. auto industry by becoming the latest in the series of auto companies to commit to using U.S.-based Tesla's North American Charger standard, a standardized charging port configuration for electric cars, according to Reuters, in addition to utilizing NACS, which is partially subsidized by Biden administration. Polestar is hoping that some of all-electric SUVs made at the upcoming South Carolina factory will qualify for the $7,500 consumer tax credit offered through President Joe Biden's cornerstone climate law. The Inflation Reduction Act, which subsidizes the purchase of electric vehicles, Yahoo Finance reported in late March. The company will first launch a premium version of upcoming Polestar 3 SUV in mid-2024, starting at roughly $84,000, but that price point would surpass $80,000 threshold for SUVs to qualify for the credit. To take advantage of the tax credits, Polestar plans to launch a cheaper variant with the fewer amenities soon after production begins. They're going to get people. They're going to be like, yes, I'm going to go get this deal. I'm going to go get a sweet deal. They got a good sale on it. I'm going to get the $7,500 consumer tax credit to go along with it, only to find out that if I didn't spend $80,000, I don't get the consumer tax credit. $80,000 for a freaking car? You kidding me right now? Who has $80,000 or needs to have $80,000 to purchase an electric car. An electric car. Ho Biden? Yes, baby bat. Yes, baby bat. For sure. Creepy Sleepy Joe is lame. I mean, it doesn't matter where you put the conversation, here, there. I love it. Thank you so much. The Biden administration has made competition with China a priority, and relations between the two nations has soared in recent months, while IRA tax credits do not directly finance the Chinese conglomerate, and the administration expects the tax credits will help sales of qualifying vehicles such as the upcoming Polestar 3 variant. These commitments are part of President Biden's Investing in America agenda to spur domestic manufacturing, strengthen supply chains, boost U.S. competitiveness, and create good-paying jobs, reads White House fact sheet. The statement continues, arguing that the IRA adds and expands tax credits for purchases of new and used EVs, helping bring the benefit of clean energy to communities across the nation. They're so smart. They're so smart. They're so smart that they're going to go plug into the same electric source that they're against oh so much. I love our government. It's so stupid. I did go find something from Canada. I did find something from Canada. I was like, all right, I got to find something. I kind of made a deal where I said, well, I'd definitely do Canada news at least one point in time through the night. Canadian government to stop advertising on Facebook, Instagram after Meta says it'll block news. Yes, thank you, Jay-Z. Definitely smash the like button for Koolfrogg. Yes, definitely do that. Thank you, Jay-Z. Good to see you. Canada's government announced Wednesday it would stop advertising on Facebook and Instagram in response to Meta's decision to block access to news content on the social platforms as part of the temporary test. Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez announced Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government's decision at a news conference. Canada's move in the latest episode in the spat that started over Trudeau's administration proposed a bill that required technology companies to pay publishers for linking into or otherwise repurposing their content online. Meta promised at the time of the block Canadian news content on Facebook and Instagram platforms to address Canada's recently passed Online News Act. Rodriguez said the decision from Meta is unreasonable and irresponsible, and as a result, Canada would stop advertising on their platforms. Reacting to the latest Canadian announcement, a Meta spokesperson on Wednesday that the Online News Act is flawed legislation that ignores the realities of how platforms work, and that the company does not collect links to news content to show on their social platforms. He said publishers are the ones deciding to post them on Facebook and Instagram. Flawed legislation because it actually just tries to block something from doing something that it doesn't happen already anyway. Oh, Canada is so ridiculous. I just seriously, I cannot believe that they've actually gone to the point where they've actually where they've gone to, for this link tax or whatever, for actually go and do something as ridiculous as they have to get somebody like Facebook and Instagram to look at it and be like, what are you talking about? We don't do anything like that whatsoever. Unfortunately, the regulatory process is not equipped to make changes in the fundamental features of the legislation that have always been problematic. And so we plan to comply by ending news availability in Canada in the coming weeks. ending news availability in the coming weeks. There's going to be no available news on Facebook or Instagram. Anything that comes over Facebook and Instagram for news will not be Canada based, will not have anything to do with Canada. You gotta go ask your mom. Well, then it's a no. Dad's working. Dad's working. Yeah, Dad's working. Dad's working.
Time.
Okay. Dad's working.
I want sample time now.
Well, you didn't eat when you were supposed to.
I want going.
I'll be right back. That's rough. It sucks. It sucks when children come into play when it's necessary, because he's just hungry now. Finally, didn't want to eat dinner during dinner time, and now he wants dinner now. And when he wants dinner now, it's screaming till I get something. And Mom's pretty adamant that she's not going to give him anything. So there might be a couple more little interruptions. We'll try to make it through the night. The annual report of the government spending shows that federal government spends just over 11.4 million Canadian dollars advertising on Facebook and Instagram in 2021-2022. Google has also promised to start blocking Canadian news when the bill takes effect in 6 months. So this isn't something that's like happened already, but they've already started the suppression of certain things. It's really seriously very difficult to find Canadian news. Not that if you put Canada in or whatever and hit the news button on Google, that you're not going to come up with Canada news. You're going to totally come up with something. It's coming up with different stories, different things that are actually happening that are being suppressed, that they're not actually sharing with us. There's an awful lot of more things going on that they just don't want to share. They don't want it to be national or international news. They want to keep it to themselves, and they don't want to share. World Economic Forum partnered wind company with ties to governors sees huge tax breaks in New Jersey. Oh, there's nothing suspicious about this particular instance. Nothing at all. Zero things. Ørsted, a wind energy company that have partnered with the World Economic Forum, is getting huge tax breaks from New Jersey legislators to install offshore wind turbines. Tax credits being offered to the company were originally going to be returned to the utility customers. One of the Ørsted lobbyists, notably, has direct ties to the New Jersey governor's office. Prior to the tax breaks that passed last Friday, there was legislation in New Jersey that directed costs associated with the failed project back to any offshore company if it could not perform. It said that ratepayers in the state shall be held harmless for any cost overruns associated with offshore projects. However, according to the law that was passed last Friday and the result of more tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act, if securities given to a company, such as Ørsted, are forfeited, and the board may elect to return the funds to ratepayers or may utilize the forfeited funds to support infrastructure necessary to advance the offshore wind industry. Ørsted, the offshore wind company getting funding from the New Jersey, first appeared as a partner of the World Economic Forum in September of 2021, according to the Internet Archives. At the 2021 World Economic Forum Summit, for using green hydrogen energy, using solar or wind in order to create enough energy to make an energy system of hydrogen atoms, the CEO of Ørsted, Mads Nipper, said that offshore wind is a cornerstone to the renewable energy transformation, and that they want to become world leaders in green hydrogen energy. It's a cornerstone. This new thing that it's not really new. It's nothing. It's something that's actually been around, been thought of, been used, been attempted to be used in very unstable conditions. As you know, these wind farms, regardless to where you put them, whether you put them in the freaking ground, try collecting air, you put them on the water, try to pick up hydro, as well as trying to actually do the air at the same time, trying to create something that's going to produce so much energy. It still has a shelf life. It still expires at some point in time. And no matter what, the carbon fibers that are produced from the fossil fuels that we're all so afraid of just so happens to come from just that, them fossil fuels. Isn't that something? Shiloh Mang, how's it going, dear? Good to see you. Glad you're here. We need to scale dramatically and ensure that the incentive and policy frames are there. We don't get to scale unless we get it off the ground, and that is where production-based incentives are really vital for the interim period of time. He emphasized that Ørsted needed the freeing up of regulatory incentives, taxes, and fees. During the first quarter of 2023, according to the Senate filings, Ørsted lobbying group Ørsted North America and Kathleen Frangione lobbied Congress in implementation of H.R. 5376, Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Total lobbying expenses for the quarter reported in the filing were $200,000. Prior to being employed at Ørsted, Frangione worked for the New Jersey governor as acting chief of staff in 2019. As well as the office's chief policy advisor, she had previously worked in John Kerry's Senate office as well. John Kerry's Senate office as well. We don't need to put that in the headline. was just put it in there that she had ties to this person, and the governor of New Jersey, of the state that they just so happen to get these nice, fun tax credits from. And requests for public comment from Securities and Exchange Commissions to rule and standardize ESG reports for investors in 2022. Fragioni made recommendations to the U.S. Congress to enforce rules for Scope 3 ESG reporting for companies. The Scope 3 rules would force companies to report any direct or indirect emissions connected to the company. This would include the reporting of any emissions released by supply chain partners to investors. Those who invest into Ørsted are also buying into a company heavily influenced by the Denmark government. Over 50% of Ørsted's shares are owned by the Danish government, making an effective owner of the company. The chair of the board of directors in Ørsted is Thomas Thune Andersen, who is also a member of the Danish Committee of Corporate Governance. This committee sets the recommendations that Ørsted is supposed to follow for best practices. Andersen helped with writing them. This is ridiculous. He's just so upset because he wants what he wants and he can't have it. I hope that's not picking up too loud for y'all. These committee sets the recommendations that Ørsted is supposed to follow for best practices. Andersen helped the writing with the 2020 after joining the committee in 2018 when he had already been on the board for years at Ørsted. Andersen is also a member of the community of chairpersons of the WF in history. Has a history in New Jersey. He's the CEO of Maersk Oil from 2004 to 2009, which is based out of the state. Just a few ties. Just a few ties to a few people. Yes, he does have some very healthy young lungs. He loves to actually scream at the top of them if he feels it necessary to get his way. It doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen. You don't always get your way. And he knows that. He's just hungry. He wants something that he wants now because he decided he didn't want to eat with the rest of us. Kids. Kids in Maersk Oil. Federal judge rules Biden admin violated First Amendment by censoring critics. So sorry about that. That sucks so super bad. I wish that wasn't something that actually happens every once in a while. But when you deal with a 3-year-old, that's kind of what happens. Anyway, federal judge rules Biden admin violated First Amendment by censoring critics. It seems as though they're not really happy with Joe Biden at the moment. Seems as though no matter what Joe Biden's attempted to do here in the recent past, even in the greater past of 60-ish years of him actually being part of this United States government that he's been, it's really is something that actually see them finally actually kind of turning on him to a point where he might not actually pick up this nomination come up here. He might not. It might be something that we might be very interested to see it not happen. It says Democrat President Joe Biden has suffered a crushing defeat in court after a federal judge ruled that his administration violated the First Amendment by censoring critics online. Federal Judge Terry Doughty, a President Donald Trump appointee, issued a broad Federal Judge Terry Doughty, President Donald Trump appointee, issued a broad preliminary injunction limiting the federal government from policing online content in a 155-page ruling issued Tuesday. The judge determined that the Biden admin had tried to subvert the U.S. Constitution by using big tech companies as a third party to censor American people. During COVID pandemic, a period perhaps best characterized as a widespread doubt and uncertainty in the United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to the Orwellian Ministry of Truth, Doughty wrote in his ruling. Doughty barred White House officials and multiple federal agencies from contacting or meeting with social media companies. He noted that Biden officials are actively trying to suppress political views and other speech normally protected from government censorship. The judge's July 4th opinion in Missouri v. Biden found the Democrat president and his administration were involved in far-reaching, widespreading censorship campaign. Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt said a federal judge in Missouri v. Biden just granted a preliminary injunction prohibiting the FBI, DOJ, DHS, and other agencies from working with big tech to censor on social media's big win for the First Amendment on this Independence Day. I love the fact that they actually went ahead and did this. It's very interesting to see that they've actually gone to the point of throwing some kind of injunction at them to actually see if they can't get something to withstand these breaches of our First Amendment when it comes down to them actually telling us what we can and can't say because they feel that, whatever it is that we are saying goes against their wishes. I really, really seriously, we need to actually think about it and hope that whatever this is that's going after Joe Biden is really something that actually sticks and actually holds precedence over a lot when it comes down to it, because it's something that we can really actually hope to see passed. So then presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is challenging Biden for Democrat in 2024 primary, said federal judge orders President Biden to stop censoring his critics, including me. The decision mentions me in page 17. Happy Independence Day, everyone. Clay Travis said Joe Biden's federal government engaged in the most direct attack on the First Amendment in U.S. history through social media censorship. This is one of the most important district court opinions ever written. Holy hell, what a takedown in defense and free speech. I'm not kidding. Everyone should read this opinion. It's perfect. The most significant First Amendment opinion of the Koolfrogg era so far. Bravo, Judge Doughty, LSU law grad, by the way. We had every Bayou Bengal proud of this one. And it's actually, like I said, kind of exciting to actually see something so positive actually come out of this 4th of July weekend of, having something brought up against Joe Biden. against Joe Biden and all the things that he's about when it comes, especially comes to this goof pandemic that he seems to have taken control of and orchestrated it out the way he wanted it to actually be. And he got what he wanted. And hopefully now we get what we wanted. What is up, Melissa Jane? Good to see you. All right. The lab test confirms substance found at White House was indeed cocaine. It was indeed. Just exactly that. Jeez. The total meltdown for the night. Complete and total meltdown that he's not going to get past. I do not see us actually making it through this night through it without another distraction. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I apologize straight out beforehand. That it's been known that has a tendency to happen. He does have a mom, and she is with him. A lab test confirmed substance found in the White House was indeed cocaine. A person of knowledge of the situation confirmed on Wednesday that laboratory testing the material discovered at the White House on Sunday was cocaine. Previous field testing showed the positive results of cocaine, but the substance was sent to further evaluation and testing. The Secret Service had said previously the substance was found near the ground floor entrance of the West Wing. The location was where staff led tours of the White House passed through on their way into the building. The substance was found near where guests are asked to leave their cell phones before proceeding into the West Wing. Sources had previously described the substance as a white powder found in a small zipped bag. Somebody's very, very upset because they just lost themselves a small zip bag of whatever powder of their choice was. And it's now being looked at as being something that they need to take precaution for. It was found in Secret Service personnel conducting routine rounds of the building. The discovery of the substance on Sunday evening triggered a brief evacuation as part of what the Secret Service described as precautionary closure, the outlet added. President Joe Biden spent the weekend at Camp David and arrived back at the White House Tuesday morning. Officials are working to determine who brought cocaine into the building. It wasn't Hunter. It wasn't Hunter. That's I mean, don't point your fingers that way. Tours to the West Wing frequently occur at night or on weekends and can be given by White House employees. Visitors must pass through security screenings to get inside the White House and have been instructed to put their phones in tiny boxes before going into the West Wing. So sorry about that. Like you said, I doubt that's going to be the last time he interrupts. Um, Again, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine in the White House. Now they have metal detectors for these particular uh, deals that they put on. These officials take them around the White House and give them a tour. Obviously, there's no detector for small plastic baggies. For them to actually bring small plastic baggies into wherever they are, whatever it is that they're doing. Uh, it, it's not unheard of. It's really not. It's so not unheard of that there's so many people in this United States that have actually used these particular drugs. Cocaine is very, very popular street drug. There's a lot of people that have heard about it. Not everybody uses it, but I'm pretty sure that you could probably take a good consensus of people and find out how many of them are actually willing to actually attempt to try to do any of that. Maybe left over from Clinton or Bush. I mean, could be. Maybe there's potentiality for for almost anything to happen. A spokesman of the Secret Service, Anthony Guglielmi, said previously that the D.C. Fire Department determined that the substance, which was found in a work area in the West Wing, did not present a threat. The spokesman of the Secret Service, Anthony Guglielmi, said previously that the D.C. Fire Department had determined that the substance, which was found in a work area of the West Wing, did not present the threat. The U.S. Secret Service has found an unknown item late on Sunday, which led to the evacuation of the White House grounds. They've taken this way too far. They've taken this way, way too far. Now, I get it. This is the White House, and you're concerned. You're like, oh no, something like this just can't happen. You can't have people bringing, cocaine up into the White House. It's unsafe. It's unsafe to have any kind of powdery substance whatsoever up in and around fragile old people. You really got to be careful what kind of stuff you bring around fragile old people. All road closures have now been lifted, the spokesperson confirmed. U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division officers located the unknown item in the White House complex. As a precaution, the White House grounds was evacuated, and D.C. Fire Department's hazmat team responded. Apparently, whoever it was that actually found this, when they actually did go grab it out of the area that they found it in, they weren't a fan of such a thing themselves, that they felt it necessary to hand it over. I think most would have actually seriously pocketed it and actually just kept it to themselves. Precautionary closures were implemented around the White House complex this evening after unknown item was discovered by uniformed division officers. Precautionary closures will be lifted soon as DC fire is cleared and unknown item is non-hazardous. A previous report revealed the three businesses in D.C. had been destroyed on Sunday morning. These D.C. Metropolitan Police Department said in a statement detectives from the Metropolitan Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division and agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives Washington Field Division seek the public's assistance in identifying suspects and vehicles in reference to the destruction of property offenses that occurred on Sunday, July 2nd, 2023 in the district. The press release added a bunch of things. So it actually added these locations of explosive devices, of we kind of went over these explosive devices within the last few days, and for them to actually tack this on to make it look like it was something, more whatever is it? Alcohol, firearms, tobacco, drugs. How many more things can we concoct? Can we work up, get to actually happen, and then us and all of them just so happen to, happen within a short period of time, so that we can do what is necessary to try and shut down the White House for even a short period of time. I have a feeling that's what it was. They were trying to do something more, some diversion, sleight of hand. Look over here. Don't pay attention to this. Don't watch what I'm doing over on the other side. I think there's something going on. I really, really do. Now, I do have a couple articles that actually did go along. Here you go. Secret Service confirms cocaine found. We're not going to go through the whole article, but for whatever reason, the reason I pull this up is for whatever reason they put this guy as the picture at the top of the article. It made me laugh so hard to actually see such a thing actually happen. I'm just like, yes, there you go. Perfect. You did it. You hit it right in the head. That's exactly where my mind went. So it says media jokes about cocaine found in White House. We need a blow-by-blow probe of this. Horrible. Members of the press were left laughing after a report of the white powdery substance found in the White House tested positive for cocaine. I'd like to know, blow by blow, who is responsible for this Sarah Sidner joke that she cracked herself up. Too soon, anchor John Bremen shot back. There's no too soon about this, co-anchor Kate Baldwin responded in laughter. No one was injured, as far as we know, and it's an illicit drug in the White House. Why can't you actually have a little bit of fun with it? For media to actually go the opposite direction with it. They go total opposite direction with it. And actually it's funny. It's okay. It's drug use. It's all good. Not necessary to actually complain about people's use of drugs. People use drugs all the time. It's something that's commonly used in most households. It's kind of it's okay. It's okay. Why? Because they're telling you that it's okay. The media says so. We go along with it. And Berman then joked, "I don't believe in fun." MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell was floored as she encountered anything like this while covering the White House during her lengthy career. "This is so unusual. You and I have covered the White House for years. I can't even fathom anything like having been found before in the West Wing. I go back 70s, go back to the 70s at the White House. So this is pretty wild," Mitchell said, smiling. Yep, so wild and so crazy to actually find such a thing. And then again, for whatever reason, they feature a picture of Hunter Biden. They're trying to normalize something, are they not? It's okay. We found something, here. It's okay that he's done this before. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all fine. That way, when we bring him up on charges for it or whatever, it's just a slap on the wrist because it's okay. It's okay as long as you have the money to pay for it. It's okay to actually get away with something as long as there's somebody there that cares enough to actually pay off your way out, pay your way out of whatever charges that you were actually looking at. And that's exactly what is happening. The substance was initially found in the West Wing of the White House by a member of Secret Service, which sparked the evacuation of the building. Emergency response. The test was conducted on the substance, became back cocaine. CBS Mornings covered the story before the test results were made public. Co-anchored Tony DeCoupil mocked the fact that the substance was believed to be cocaine and that is a talking point that the area where it was found was regularly visited by guests and tourists. How long does it take to find out? Also, they're kind of blaming it on the tourists in the public area. Co-host Gail King then asked, "Are people careless with their cocaine?" DeCopel said, "It's an expensive drug." It's an expensive drug? Okay. As the panelist chuckled, "I would like to hear the one person in particular," co-host Nate Burleson said before pausing, prompting King to ask, "Who?" "That Bill that used to sit in Capitol Hill, the Schoolhouse Rock." Put this in layman's terms, what happened? Because I'm a little confused. I totally remember the bill on Capitol Hill. That was like the best thing ever. It was so awesome. And it seems that so many have actually lost their thoughts on and actually knowing how a bill actually gets passed through Capitol Hill. And they actually explain a lot of things to us as kids. It was really something. It's funny how he's like, I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused. I don't quite get how it's so funny to giggle and laugh about something that's so deadly when used improperly, especially with the cuts that they're actually cutting with these days of things like fentanyl. DeCopil then joked he was already rolling up with the cartoon. He was ready to go, referring to the rolled up dollar bills used by cocaine users. President Biden was in the Camp David at the time of discovering the substance. The president's son, Hunter, who was a recovered crack cocaine addict, was also Camp David at the time of discovery. Many online singers suggested Hunter Biden is responsible. Blaming Hunter is too easy. It's too on the nose or in the nose, said Gutfield. Everybody seriously has a joke about it. And it's kind of disturbing how much of a joke they've actually done and made about it. I really kind of disturbing to believe that they think that being that much of a joke is okay. I would almost bet that there's a lot more drug use going on than they do, and they know it, and they want to normalize it. They want to normalize it to the point where you watch somebody like Hunter Biden walk scot-free to the release of so many others for their use of and or sale of such drugs. I could really see there's going to be something more that's going to come out of this. This isn't something really a joking matter. Really kind of dislike how media has actually gone ahead and spun this For media to spin it the way they has is disturbing. So then, as the day progressed on this particular subject, this White House cocaine story evolves again. Unlikely culprit will be found. Unlikely, the culprit will be found. They really don't know who could have attempted to do such a thing, how long it's been there, who decided to actually go clean this particular spot, whatever, actually go and reach into a pocket and actually pull this out of a seat cushion or whatever it was, wherever this was. The mystery of cocaine found in the White House continues. As was reported, the story has already changed multiple times as reported by the media. First, it was near the White House, then it was in the White House complex, then it was reported to be found in the library. But then Tuesday, July 4th, when most Americans were likely not following the news, we heard that it was in a work area in the West Wing, that it was a baggie not loose or concealed. We were told the Secret Service that despite reports of the first responders is saying it was found in the library, that wasn't the case. I would think the description would limit the number of places that this could be, yet they're still not being told exactly what office or area it was in. The White House library isn't next to the West Wing. It's on the other side of the building below the residential quarters, as you can see from these maps. Oh, isn't that something? Off to the other side. Off to the other side. The West Wing with the far right side showing the palm room. You can see where the where it would have. It would give you big clues. And then here's the first floor of the White House where the library is. Notice the distance from the palm room. So, palm room way over here on the right side. It is quite a difference. Like, they really don't know. They don't know exactly where. The residential quarters on the second floor. The guest bedrooms are near the stairs. The queen's bedroom is over the library. So they're. It's somewhere in the White House. You don't need to know exactly where. All you need to know is it didn't pull it out of my pocket to say that, look what I found. What gibberish. A West Wing work area? Fleischer tweeted, with the exception of the White House mess in the bathrooms, the entire West Wing is a work area. Where exactly was the cocaine found? In whose office? In the sit room, situation room, or the private office next to the Oval? Where? Where it is will, of course, give you a big clue as to who might have brought it in. And maybe that's why we're getting work area. Work area. We're just getting work. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody's going to get in trouble for it. We're just going to dispose of it the way we properly should. But hold on to your hats. Even as I write the story is evolving yet again. Now, instead of just a work area, we're being told that it was in an area near where visitors taking tours of the West Wing are instructed to leave their cell phones. This sounds like a bit of a distancing job. It has the fault of someone outside the White House. They can't have it be anyone in the White House because folks coming in on tour of the White House bring their cocaine and leave it in the cubbyhole. Of course, it's hard to believe that anyone would bring it in, much less leave it in there, given all the security. I'm with the writer of this article. Who in the right mind seriously thinks, I should take this in with me? I'm going to set it down. I'm going to go set it down inside this cubby hole, inside this pocket of this chair, inside of it. You're not going to do that. Nobody does that. Absolutely zero people that do cocaine would do that. Well, the Secret Service said they continue to investigate. There's now also a report that they're saying is the culprit of unlikely to be found, despite all those cameras and security. Oh, so what does this say about the security, or does it say more about the lack of transparency on the Biden team? Either way, not a great look when it's supposed to be security of the alleged leader of the free world. But you let us go on and seem to be prepping not to hold anyone responsible. Exactly that. Exactly that. Like I already said, that's exactly what they seem to be doing. They're doing what they can to hold somebody else responsible for the situation, or hold nobody responsible for the situation. Make it a nothing. Like, oh, it was just something that came up in the news, and it was important for a short bit. We're going to discredit that it ever happened. It's an okay thing, and it's going to make those drugs okay. They're going to make them things okay. They're going to make certain things okay for certain people. For certain people. As long as you got a particular dollar in your pocket, you can buy whatever you'd like. Did Hunter Biden have the sniffles last night while watching the 4th of July fireworks? Of course, the media has gone to this point of actually doing such. As you see Hunter Biden walk away, rubbing his nose. Do you know they've actually been waiting? They've been waiting. They've been filming him forever, waiting for the one spot where he goes to rub his nose. Lock him up. Throw the key away. Stop it. Stop it. How ridiculous are we? Ridiculous are we? So, I guess we'll kind of move on from Hunter Biden, or I'm sorry, it wasn't even Hunter Biden thing. It had nothing to do with Hunter Biden whatsoever. But for whatever reason, because of what it was, it turned the conversation into about Hunter Biden. The first son has done wonderful things. We should all be just so super proud of him and all of those things that he's done. All right. So, report the United Nations is trying to seize global emergency powers with support from Biden. Emergency powers in regard to the government actions have usually enacted when there's a natural or other disaster, allowing governors or presidents to make quick decisions to help their constituency. The United Nations while not a governing body, describes most of its own function in its charter is to maintain international peace, investigate any dispute, recommend methods of adjusting disputes, formulate plans, recommend actions, and other terms that suggest an advisory capacity. But in the Charter of the UN, in the phrase, to take military action against an aggressor, and now the far left United Nations is trying to seize the global emergency powers and is doing so with the blessing of Joe Biden. This is alarming because the United States has come to distrust the UN since they have proven over the years that they do not have America's best interests in mind. In September 2024, the UN plans to a summit that will challenge freedoms for the U.S. Scheduled to occur just before the next U.S. presidential election, the United Nations will host a landmark summit of the future. Landmark summit of the future, United Nations. Something to be probably be paying attention to as time goes on here. They're intending to hold this particular summit scheduled to occur before the presidential election. Remember, if nations will adopt the Pact of the Future, the agreement will solidify numerous policy reforms offered by the UN over the past 2 years as part of its sweeping Our Common Agenda platform. If you were astounded by the U.S. federal government's attempt at mandates in regard to the pandemic, hold on to your hats. It seems the UN wants to tell the entire world what it can and cannot do in the case of another global pandemic. Although there are numerous radical proposals included in the agenda, perhaps none of them more important than UN plans for a new emergency platform, a stunning proposal to give the UN significant powers in the event of future global shocks or another worldwide pandemic. Many of the details in the UN emergency platform were laid out in the March 2023 policy paper titled Strengthening the International Response of Complex Global Shocks. The emergency platform were triggered. The emergency platform would give the UN the ability to actively promote and drive an international response that places the principles of equity and solidarity at the center of its works. Are you considered yet? Even though the mandates or compulsory measures prove to be in no use in many of the claims regarding government imposed initiatives during the pandemic have been exposed as false, the UN wants to take the control of individual lives to another level. The UN would also reserve the right to extend the emergency as they see fit. This can go totally wrong and very bad. It can be something that can really, really destroy us as a nation, as what we are. It really seriously could be very, very bad. Although the duration of the emergency platform would initially be set for the finite period, at the end of the period, the Secretary General would extend the work of the emergency platform if required, according to the United Nations on policy proposal. So, once enacted, the UN would continue to seize control as long as they want, indefinitely. And it seems when current President Joe Biden is supporting this agenda, there's nothing that we're going to actually be able to do. They're going to seriously go and they're going to try taking over and doing whatever it is that they can to actually make it so that we're under a police state of the United Nations, which takes away all other jurisdiction. How many people are here? How many people are here who are listening to me? Can I at least get a hello real quick from each one of you, just so I can see who's actually listening? I really seriously, this is something that could be coming right around the corner, and could you actually really screw with a lot of our freedoms that we all take for granted. The Federalist, what's up, Cohagen? The Federalist reports that at least two March 2022 speeches, U.S. Ambassador Chris Liu noted that the Biden administration backs this emergency platform, along with numerous other proposals, including our common agenda, effectively selling out the freedoms of the United States of America. The emergency platform would centralize the immense amount of power and influence, giving the United Nations greater control over the lives of Americans than it ever had before. The Biden administration's agreement with these global maneuvers highlights the Democrats' desire to undermine America's independence and sovereignty at the hand of the country over the power of grabbing United Nations. Another gathering of the UN this fall sees Biden pushing for more UN power. In June, the Washington Post reported that the Biden administration is consulting with diplomats from the organization 193 member states to solicit feedback about the potential expansion of the Power Council ahead of the world leaders' annual gathering in New York this fall. Former President Donald Trump cautioned that the UN against just such measures during his tenure. When then President Donald Trump addressed the UN during the presidency in 2019, he made it clear that the United States is not interested in a globalist agenda. The future does not belong to the globalists. The future belongs to the patriots. The future belongs to the sovereign, independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique. You know, when it actually comes down to it, and I got halfway through the first sentence and I could hear him actually saying it. Chat fell asleep. I know. I get it. I get it. It's late at night, and if I don't get myself into like a super excited state of mind, things sometimes, go to that point. He added, freedom and democracy must be constantly guarded and protected, both abroad and from within. We must always be skeptical of those who want to conformity and control. Even in free nations, we see alarming signs and challenges to liberty. There are no circumstances under the United States will allow international entities to trample on the rights of our citizens, Trump declared in the end of 2019 speech. So when it comes down to it, it really seems is Joe Biden's fine with us actually being part of this UN, about in allowing them to actually take control. He's okay with it. He's okay with actually allowing that to actually occur. Who knows what kind of control that would actually put us under, if it would actually continue to allow us to be the free nation that we are, or what it would actually do to us. Very disturbing, and something that I'm not looking forward to. I want my son to actually have a life of that he creates for himself, as opposed to something that they're going to actually force on him. Ben says I'm playing video games. Well, I mean, all the previous chats couldn't see. I don't know. That's different. Right, was I not able to see your stuff, Cohagen? That's disturbing in itself. Damn. So, Kash Patel baffles mind why GOP state officials don't investigate Hunter Biden. really don't want to talk about Hunter Biden. Sick of talk about Hunter Biden, but every single day there's something more about Hunter Biden. I thought I had this switched closer to the other Hunter Biden stuff so that we could do all the Hunter Biden stuff all at one time. So what this comes down to, Kash Patel, this guy here, former chief of staff, it's not rocket science. It baffles the mind. It isn't someone's arcane scientific formula. Cash said he believes Hunter Biden and his associates potentially committed crimes in as many as 45 states. According to media reports, a laptop from hell, Hunter Biden's own book, Marco Polo, and the 2020 Senate report, The Biden's Family Business, allegedly committed crimes as many conservative states and Republican attorney generals such as Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Virginia, and South Carolina. For example, the Daily Mail reported Hunter Biden could be held accountable for alleged prostitution offenses in Florida. A suspicious activity report filed J.P. Morgan Chase named Florida and New York-based Tarina Moreva after she received tens of thousands of dollars from Hunter's company and women who the first son paid for sex. So I'm just saying, more and more people coming forward. Now, former Chief of Staff Kash Patel coming forward and actually stating his opinion and his thought on it that hey, he should be charged with more crimes in more states than what he's being let off on. They only charge him with a few things. Maybe there should be a lot more things that Hunter Biden must just go down for. Hunter Biden also allegedly mishandled firearms, according to the photos in the laptop from hell. He did so many things, from buying crack to mishandling firearms to doing what he's currently doing, and thinking that it's okay. Thinking it's okay that he can just get away with it because Daddy isn't going to allow anything to happen to him. He's fine. He can traffic what he wants, whether it be drugs or people or whatever it is that he's doing. Whatever it is that he's doing, he's okay. He's okay. Everybody look the other way. Don't look at Hunter Biden. Nothing to see here. What was this here? What was this one? Conservative cheer order limiting Biden's social media suppression. Big win for free speech. Yes. So this is actually a very interesting read when it comes down to it. It is a big win for free speech when it, for what it is. It says conservatives and Republicans are in a celebratory mood following judges' Independence Day order, hindering the Biden's administration's social media content removal efforts, with lawmakers calling it a major victory for free speech. U.S. District Court Judge Terry Doughty, a Trump appointee, determined Tuesday that the Biden administration likely trampled. Oh, we already kind of did this, didn't we? I'm so sorry. I knew that I had multiple different articles in here. We did actually speak of this free speech. This is one of the first articles we read through or whatever. Like I said, I had so much stuff going through. And as you can tell, when I got a tadpole that's at hand, sometimes I don't really get a chance to actually do the justice that is necessary to make a show worthwhile. I hope you're all enjoying it. Do hit that like button. Feel free to actually throw some dollary dues at me. I appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Ex-Obama AG calls court decision in social media stupid, potentially dangerous. See, I had the other one actually squished up closer to these one, so that way it went from one to the other. And apparently that got mixed up just a touch. Eric Holder on Wednesday knocked a federal court's decision to limit Biden administration officials communicating with social media companies, calling them potentially dangerous. So then, you get Obama's statement was in, I believe it was the Obama statement was in this one. Is that what was going on? Yeah, this is ex-Obama AG Eric Holder. You finally get his statement. It says, well, this is pretty stupid and potentially dangerous. Holder was served under former President Obama, sharing the article about the decision. The federal judge granted preliminary injunction Tuesday, blocking officials from Department of Health and Human Services, Centers, CDC, and other three-letter agencies, as well as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The Republican Missouri and Louisiana state attorneys general are suing the Biden administrations for alleging the court data included with social media platforms to identify disfavored speakers, viewpoints, and content. And really what it comes down to is was Koof in itself was a big one that they're actually going after the suppression of all words and terms going along with it or whatever. They really seriously disliked anybody talking about it, having anything to say about it. And as you can tell, I still can't actually talk about it, say anything about it, because they don't like us to. They don't like us to. They don't want us to actually, share our free speeches. I know I can over on that Rumble side. So, anything ever happens over here on this YouTube side, you make sure that you make it over to the Rumble. That way, when something does happen, you can still catch me every night, 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Because that's what I do. Biden anxiously looking forward to Sweden joining NATO. He's really seriously looking forward to Sweden joining NATO. It's really something that he's actually looking forward to. He really wants this to happen because I think he believes that this is actually going to do more. Great liquor. Great liquor. Says $1 dues for use. Sends me a $50. I wish I could click on those and bring those on the screen. Thank you so much, Great Liquor. Appreciate it. I really do. Really, really appreciate that. United States President Joe Biden has said that he's anxiously looking forward to Sweden joining NATO, and he's hosted the Northern European countries' Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson. The White House also renewed calls for Turkey to approve Sweden's bid to join the alliance Wednesday in advance of the NATO summit in Lithuania next week. I want to reiterate the United States fully supports Sweden's membership in NATO, and the bottom line is simple. Sweden is going to make our alliance stronger, Biden told reporters. Obviously, he said that a lot. I said that a lot better than he did, and he was actually reading off a postcard. He actually had words on front of him. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre also urged Sweden's admission into NATO as soon as possible. Of course, she did. She really did. She was really down for actually having Sweden become part of NATO's alliance. They seem to really like NATO. It seems as NATO's like their police state. Sweden is a strong, capable defense partner of sharing NATO's values and will strengthen the alliance and contribute to European security, Jean-Pierre said on Wednesday, and the two leaders held talks in Washington, D.C. Sweden and neighboring Finland started seeking NATO membership last year after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The U.S.-led alliance has a collective defense pact, meaning the attack on one member is considered an attack on all. Which is a big reason for Sweden actually wanting to step up to this and actually be like, yes, we do want to be part of NATO. We seek your protection. We seek the protections that come along with being a NATO member. We bow down, and we will take it. We'll take it firmly up the rear, as now our citizens will also be paying as much as they possibly can to fund NATO to keep us also safe. On Wednesday, Christensen thanked Biden for his strong support. For Sweden's NATO bid, we do seek common protection, but we also do think that we have things to contribute with the security provider for the whole of NATO. No, thank you. You're so welcome, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you again, Grey Liquor. NATO members need to unanimously agree to allow new countries into the bloc. Finland officially joined the alliance in April, but Sweden's application is still pending. We've actually talked about this a couple different times. Since those first applications actually went out for these two countries to actually join in. And the reason that Sweden is having such an issue is because of the thing that's going on with Turkey. Now, if Turkey actually backs down and actually just says, okay, fine, you're allowed in, I don't know if that actually gives them the right to actually have their imprisoned people back, so that they can actually torture them the way they feel, or if it's something I really don't know. I don't know all the logistics on it, but there's something on why Hungary didn't, or Turkey didn't want Sweden in, or wouldn't allow Sweden to come in. So this is Hungary and Turkey have not ratified Sweden's accession, but Ankara is seen as the main hurdle. Turkey has accused Sweden of providing a safe haven for members of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which is considered a terrorist group. And they have a point. They kind of have a point. They really do when you actually think about it. It's something that they should consider, not housing terrorist groups. I'm kind of down. In June last year, Turkey, Sweden, Finland signed a so-called trilateral memorandum to address Ankara's grievances about banned armed groups. Turkey, however, has said that Sweden has not fulfilled all of the commitments in the agreement. Further complicating the issue are the two Koran-burning protests by far-right activists during demonstrations in Sweden this year that have angered Turkey. The Swedish government has condemned the desecration of Islam's holy book, but allowed the demonstrations to proceed, with the country's court allowing them as free speech. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan criticized the Quran burning protests last month, turning a blind eye to such atrocious acts as to be complicit, he said on Twitter. Earlier this week, Turkish President Recep Erdogan, who signaled that Ankara was sticking to its position against Stockholm, we have made it clear that we've determined to fight against terrorist organizations, and Islamophobia are our red line. So, I mean, as much as we urge it, Washington does not have the final say when it comes down to it. Everybody must be okay with the alliance, as it is in alliance. That's what alliances do. And for them to actually not want the alliance, if they don't want it, they should not be forced to actually take it either. They should be able to go ahead and continue to believe that they should not be allowed. We'll see if this actually happens, if it happens at all. If it happens at all, it really seems kind of interesting to believe that NATO would stay out of Sweden if there was an attack on them. For its part, Washington was rejected for burning the Quran while calling on Turkey to approve Sweden's NATO bid. The burning of religious texts is disrespectful and hurtful, and that might be legal, is certainly not necessarily appropriate. Meanwhile, U.S. officials have been calling for Turkey to lift its opposition to Sweden's NATO bid. Christensen's visit to the White House is coming next week. He met Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Sweden. At that time, Blinken had hoped Sweden's NATO accession would be finalized before Lithuania's summit, which is set for the 11th. For the 11th. Coming up here in a few days, about 6 days, we got this NATO summit happening in Lithuania. So, these things happen like dead early in the morning. There's something where you're just like, why? What are they doing right now? Why are they doing this so early? And so it's because of where it is. Because of where it is. So it'd be like 10 hours early. It's going to be sometime like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning for us or something. Be something ridiculous. But still maybe something that we could pay attention to, something that might be interesting to many, to see what actually happens to Sweden. We'll see. Biden's military can't tell the difference between sexes or between itself and Russia. July 4th tweet proves. Oh my Lord. Again, I said I have so many things that are out of order, out of succession on here, whatever. Some of it really should have been, it's like certain things should have actually come together a little bit easier. So this photo here, when you look at it, it says Happy 4th of July, and you're like, oh, Happy 4th of July. Then you look a little closer and you see the boat and you see the fighter jets with those tip noses, and you're like, wait a minute here. Hold up. There's something wrong here. July 4th, U.S. Pacific Fleet demonstrated it can't tell the difference between itself and Russia, which is fitting for the military that can no longer tell the difference between a man and a woman. On Tuesday, Pacific Fleet tweeted a photo of a serviceman saluting a warship and an airplanes in the silhouette, saying Happy 4th of July in the graphic read. Happy Independence Day, the caption read, followed by an American flag emoji and a few hashtags. Again, there's that photo. It's a slight issue. Those are not planes made by American companies or flown by the Navy, nor is it a U.S. warship. They're all Russian. UK military-centric outlet Forces Network noted the ship is a Cashin-class Russian destroyer, and silhouetted planes of Russian-made Su-27 flanker fighter jets. What? What did you do? Oh no, don't. This is horrible. Horrible. Looks very, very bad for the United States. Pacific Fleet didn't directly apologize on Twitter, but it did delete the tweet itself, and a more suitably American graphic was used in subsequent tweet. Land of 3, home of brave. Oh, yep, there you go. Something just a little bit more 4th of July, Independence Day S-type style, as opposed to those Russian airships. It's just amazing how ignorant these people can actually be. But then again, what's the big deal? For July 4th, the Pacific Fleet identified as Russian. The Navy already has a Dragon ambassador, after all, Joshua Kelly, who is identified as a female presenting performer, Harpy Daniels. The Department of Defense also used the Independence Day weekend to highlight the story of Army Major Rachel Jones, a male who identifies as female. DoD's Twitter account highlights a story about him and said living authentically saved his life. The rainbow saved your life. I'm sure it did. We even have first 4-star commissioned officer in military thanks to President Joe Biden's Rachel Levine as Admiral of the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps. Of course we do. We can't forget Rachel Levine. Who would ever forget about him? Sure. We may be involved in what amounts to proxy war of Russia-Ukraine. Su-27s and Cashin-class Russian destroyers aren't going to be a welcome sight for NATO-backed forces anywhere near the Crimean Peninsula. But what's wrong in identifying the diametrical opposite? The military has embraced the concept after all. With gender, a clueless graphic artist was just taking the whole thing one step further. He was just taking it one step further. Clueless graphic artist. I was just doing what I was asked. Create something 4th of July for me. Find a couple silhouettes. That's what I did. And I fucked up. That's exactly what happened. I just, fucked up. No big deal. California Reparations Task Force calls for termination of child support interest debt for Black parents. I kind of think that they should actually rethink that just a little bit and maybe just, take away the child support interest that is actually accrued on debt from all people. Maybe they could do that one federally. That might be a good deal. For them to do this racist act of this would prove just that. The main gist of our government is racist. It's racist. The whole thing. Every single last bit. Racist. Let's see. I had so many times for there's Holder again. Yes. Breaking. BLM supporter Kimbrady Watson Carricker named as suspect in Philadelphia mass shooting. Huh. Really? This young lady here. A suspect wanted a connection with the shooting in Southwest Philadelphia on Monday night has been identified as 40-year-old Kimbrady Watson Carricker. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, Carricker was arrested on Monday evening after allegedly shooting and killing 5 people and injuring 2 children in the Kingston neighborhood. Police said that they apprehended a male suspect who was wearing a ballistic vest. Police Commissioner Daniel Outlaw said law enforcement responded to gunfire in the area of South 56th Street and Chester Avenue shortly after 8:30. Around 10 minutes later, police followed and cornered a suspect in an alleyway at the 1600 block of South Fraser Street. On Facebook, Carricker was seen posting in support of Black Lives Matter and follows the Black Lives Matter Philly Facebook page. Black Lives Matter today. There will be jobs available, equal opportunity finally. Just tell us where you're quitting so we can send someone over. Carricker wrote in one Facebook comment responding to the story of workers going on strike for Black Lives. Carricker also posted a Facebook story titled, "How do you know if an evil spirit is following you?" as well as one titled, "Philly Anti-Violence Grant Program shows promising results despite some hiccups, new evaluation shows." Carricker has also made multiple posts showcasing guns and shooting, including resharing one post showing children shooting, as well as one of a person holding a flintlock pistol with the text, "Wherefore art thou opposition, so I may slide upon thine block and run it down on thee." Nice. Classy. This is a breaking story and will be updated. Obviously, it hasn't been updated since I looked at it last. But this young lady here, this character person, is very well prominently known with the Black Lives Matter movement. We should praise her for this mass shooting. Oh, Philadelphia Massacre gunman is a transgender BLM supporter. Oh. Now it makes a little bit more sense. Now it makes just a little bit more sense. Transgender Black Lives Matter supporter. Kim Brady character was arrested late Monday evening. I'm not gonna read through this. We don't have to. We just read this, and we actually can see that the other article just kind of skipped over the one word. Skipped over one word, and didn't update itself. It didn't update itself. This one did. One word. One word changes a lot. Changes a lot. Transgender. Mentally handicapped, in my opinion. U.S. Rep. Colin Allred raises $6.2 million in his first 2 months in Senate race. Amazing. That's a lot of money. $2.4 million in House campaign account, giving him $8.6 million in total receipts through the end of June. Who's funding this guy? U.S. Rep. Colin Allred, a Democrat out of Dallas, recently raised nearly $6.2 million in roughly the first 2 months of his campaign against Senator Ted Cruz. Bum, bum, bum. He also transferred an additional $2.4 million from his House campaign account. It's coming. It's coming for Ted Cruz. It looks like it's coming for Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz might have some stiff competition when it comes to Colin Allred. $6.2 million in the first 2 months. Nobody going to be able to keep up with that. I guess if you're so inclined, you'd think the people like George Soros, Hillary Clinton, or somebody else similar to that would actually be able to fund such a run against such a prominent person in Ted Cruz. This election season's turning out to be a great one already. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what comes up next. So there's the suspect opens fire in Philadelphia, killing at least 5 and injuring 2. Oh, we kind of read something about this particular person, didn't we? Huh. You can see it started off as just being, it's some random, person did something, and it spun itself around. It spun itself around to actually be somebody of prominence, had something actually to do with BLM. Texas teen who went missing in 2015 found alive 8 years later. Parents feared human trafficking. A young Texas man has disappeared while walking his dog in March 2015. Has been found alive 8 years after going missing, according to family members. Rudolph Rudy Farias the fourth was just 17 years old when he disappeared from the North Houston neighborhood in 2015 while walking his two dogs. Although the dogs were later found, Farias never was. Family members immediately suspected Farias had been victim of abduction or human trafficking operation, telling the outlet at the time that it wasn't like the teen to just disappear. He was such a huge heart. He loves all his heart. That's why we know he wouldn't just get up and go on his own. Family members also revealed that Farias suffered from anxiety and depression as well as asthma, but it hadn't taken along his inhaler. Farias' mother revealed that after 8 years of searching, her now 25-year-old son was found unresponsive outside a church in southwest Houston. His mother further added that her son was found covered with cuts and bruises, leading her to believe that wherever he had been for the past 8 years, he was abused. Farias was recovering at a local hospital, has reportedly been responded to inquiries over his mysterious disappearance. His mother told the outlet her son will only say a few words and assume the fetal position. Yeah, I bet he does. I bet he does. If he's been missing for 8 years, amazing, tremendous 8 years that this young man has actually been missing and unheard of or heard from, you'd almost believe that that it would be worse than what it was. I couldn't imagine what this person feels. This young man has to actually feel that he's actually taking fetal positions and says very little. It speaks a lot. It speaks a lot for the character of this young person. And it's very disturbing to actually believe that this is actually a thing. See, this should have showed up earlier. I'm gonna kick this down the line just a little bit, and we'll see if it's something that we won't go back to. I thought I was done. I thought all politics all cleared up already. Report: adult allegedly masquerading as 6-year-old adoptee is seen selling fireworks with new dad. Now, we've actually seen and heard about this particular person. This particular person has been reported on several times. This is an alleged 20-year-old woman masquerading as a 6-year-old girl is spotted selling fireworks with a newly adopted father in Indiana, according to a report. Natalia Grace, Ukrainian-born American woman whose dwarfism featured in a recent investigation discovery documentary entitled The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, was seen out and about in her new family after being accused of her former adoptive family as masquerading as a 6-year-old, the U.S. Sun reported. Adopting Grace in 2010, Michael and Christine Barnett alleged the 6-year-old orphan was in fact closer to her 20s and accused the girl of threatening their family with knives and poisons. In 2011, the Barnetts put Grace up in the apartment and moved to Canada, where they were later arrested and charged with child neglect. Those charges were later dropped after forensic evidence was supplied to the Marion County Superior Court showing that Natalia was not a child when the Barnetts left her alone to live in the apartment, the U.S. Sun reported. Natalia was a woman. She had periods and adult teeth. She never grew a single inch, which would happen even the child with dwarfism, according to the Sun. The evidence supplied the courts allowed the Barnetts to legally change Grace's birth year from 2003 to 1989. Grace has since found a new home at Antoine and Cynthia Mann's, her new adoptive parents, calling the Barnett's allegations shocking and untrue. Grace is slated to tell her side of the story in an upcoming series entitled Natalia Speaks. Natalia Speaks. Of course, she's going to speak out. She's going to speak about how she was able to get away with doing what she's been doing for so long and make people believe that she's just a child and needs the assistance to be adopted. Oh, what was this one? Group of thieves allegedly broke through a roof in California wine store on Saturday and made off about $700,000 worth of alcohol. Now, you'd think $700,000 worth of alcohol, holy crap, that could be a lot. It could be a lot. But the real question is, did they know what they were stealing? Video shows one of the suspects getting out of the truck and scaling what appears to be a metal shipping container while holding a knife and a sharp tool. The thief then used the sharp tool to cut a hole in the ceiling over the store's cellar where the rarest and most expensive wine was stored. The thief then used a rock climbing rope to descend into the cellar and covered all of the security cameras with socks. They cleaned it out, said owner Nazmul Halil. According to KTLA, they took everything. So we don't have anything left in the Burgundy and Bordeaux side. The thieves reportedly stole wines from France and Italy with a total value between $700,000 and $800,000. Halil claimed the thieves could try to sell their ill-gotten wine in the black market and that the expensive bottles often contain identifying marks, including serial numbers and on corks to confirm their authenticity. Halil intends to send a list of missing wine to local stores and auction houses to warn them to look out for anyone attempting to unload stolen property. I think this is just a couple people that were looking to get really freaking drunk, and hopefully they enjoy their very, very expensive wine and they treat it properly, as if they just open it up to go drink it immediately, they're going to taste awful. These are things that you let breathe before you go and drink them. These are not things that you just, pop it open, drink it, and you're like, yeah, let's get fucked up. No. Hopefully they did the right thing. And oh, no, never mind. They didn't do the right thing. They did the wrong thing. Man allegedly kills off-duty bus driver and 2 dogs in deadly carjacking spree. In Washington, D.C., of all places. Man was charged with allegedly shooting and killing. I'm sorry. Imagine some bums sitting around fire drinking a $40,000 bottle of plank. I know, right? You just feel like, whoa, what are you doing? Washington, D.C. man is charged with allegedly shooting and killing an off-duty bus driver and 2 dogs during a carjacking spree on Sunday, according to police reports. At around 12:10, the Prince George's County Police Department was informed of the crime in Capitol Heights, Maryland, around Dion Ross, 22, reportedly stole a Honda CR-V at gunpoint. 7 News reported after stealing the Honda, Ross crashed it and ran into a McDonald's parking lot. Ross then allegedly approached the Acura ILX in a drive-through lane at the McDonald's and shot the driver multiple times while trying to steal his car. According to authorities, the driver, a 56-year-old off-duty bus driver named Kurt Modesta, was able to resist the attack and drive a short distance away, but was pronounced deceased a short time later. Rest in peace, young man. After shooting Modesta, Ross allegedly stole a Toyota Scion that was also waiting in the drive-thru lane. The Scion had 3 Maltese dogs inside, 2 of which were Ross reportedly shot and killed. The third dog was uninjured, the outlet noted. Police from multiple agencies, including PGPD, gave chase before Ross abandoned the Scion and stole the GMC terrain, according to officials. Then he pointed a gun at me and said, "Get out of the car." Get out of the car, one of the victims who wished not to be identified told 7 News. Shortly after the attack, Ross crashed the GMC and engaged in a shootout with a Capitol Heights officer before being captured alive. My officer did engage with the suspect in D.C. and Sheriff Road and did engage in gunfight with the subject. Unfortunately, neither parties were struck. I'm thankful that my officer will be able to come home this evening to his family. Ross was charged with first and second degree murders, armed carjacking, assault, firearms offenses, aggravated cruelty toward an animal, among other charges. Fox 5 reported he's being held on bond in D.C. and is expected to be extradited to Maryland, per the outlet. So, I think the most disturbing part of the whole story was that he was able and willing to just go turn around and take out a couple of dogs. Nonetheless, the humans. But these 2 dogs. Expensive dogs. These aren't cheap little, my mutt just got shot. These are expensive dogs. I would almost assume this guy goes away for a long time. If not the rest of his life. I'm sure we'll see court proceedings somewhere, some point in time, for this young man of Ross. What was this? Dion Ross. We'll hear more about Dion Ross, I'm sure, in the future. Report: Florida man bludgeons his wife, co-worker with metal bat after allegedly catching them in bed together. A Florida man facing charges after allegedly assaulted his wife's co-worker with an aluminum baseball bat upon purportedly finding the 2 of them in bed together. Law enforcement brought John Dimmick, 33, into custody in June after detectives investigating the incident found him at his residence in Palm Beach County, Florida. He is being held in Palm Beach Main Detention Center and now faces charges including aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and attempted homicide. Officers responded to the calls about an armed domestic dispute in the Department of South Federal Highway. They found a man bleeding heavily with streaks leading into the bedroom. The alleged victim was taken to the hospital, reportedly in a town from Arizona. The alleged victim had been out with his co-workers, alleged attacker's wife, for drinks before the 2 returned to the Airbnb apartment. According to WKMG, the man was reportedly in bed and accused the attacker's wife when Dimmick allegedly appeared and bludgeoned him with a metal baseball bat. The alleged victim recalled Dimmick saying, "Don't ever go near my wife again." Felt like he was out to kill me, the alleged victim said, according to the arrest report cited by the outlet. Do you expect him not to? You were sleeping with his wife. Dimmick allegedly said that he did keep a bat for self-defense and recreation, but denied having hit anyone with it, and said he was home almost all day when detectives found him, according to the outlet. However, video evidence allegedly showed Dimmick at the residence with a bat and a female voice screaming, "John, stop, I'm bleeding." Detectives reportedly searched Dimmick's residence and found a black aluminum bat inside the laundry room with a black ripped t-shirt and a white tank top undershirt that appeared to have blood on it. Wonderful. Wearing his wife beater, gets caught beating his wife. His car was identified near the crime scene, according to the outlet. Deming is scheduled to appear in court on July 17th. That's a short distance away. That's a short distance away. This guy's actually going to maybe see some jail time. Potentially, let's hope that he actually does. Convict released from prison after 15-year sentence immediately confesses to 2 Alabama murders. And that's something. Suzanne. $10 donation. $10 Canadian donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sorry, it's fine. It's fine. I'm glad that you actually got some sleep. Hopefully you're feeling good. Convict released from prison after 15-year sentence immediately confesses to 2 Alabama murders. A convict repeatedly waited until the end of the 15-year sentence to admit to an unrelated murder of a pregnant woman and her son 21 years ago. Alabama authorities announced on Friday a major breakthrough was achieved in a long-standing case surrounding the 2002 murder of Monica Rollins and her 6-year-old son Dalton Rollins. Heflin Police Department wrote in a news release the bodies of the mother and the son were discovered at their residence days after being brutally stabbed. Rollins' youngest son, only 3 years old at the time, reportedly witnessed a horrific event, but was otherwise found to be unharmed. The case triggered an extensive investigation spanning over 2 decades and involving multiple law enforcement agencies. The breakthrough finally occurred Monday when murder warrants were obtained for Louis Spivey. Spivey cooperated with the ongoing investigation and confessed to the sole responsibility for the murders. Following Spivey's arrest, he was transported Thursday to Claiborne County Jail. A hearing is conducted in accordance with the Alabama Code, commonly referred to as the Anaya Law. The Anaya Law, recently passed in Alabama in November 2022, allows officials to deny bail to violent offenders accused of crimes ranging from human trafficking to murder. On behalf of Mayor Robbie Brown, the men and women of Heflin Police Department and the citizens of Heflin, I would like to send out our heartfelt condolences to the family of Monica and Dalton. Hopefully this is bringing you some sense of closure to the awful chapter of your lives. This asshole waited a better part of 20 years to come forward and say, yes, it was me. Did he not feel he was going to get a fair trial while he was sitting for a previous charge? And he didn't want to go see anything else for a few days before he actually decided to actually say, yeah, I did this other thing. Go ahead, arrest me. Institutionalize me for the rest of my life. I'm never going to get out to see a day of fresh air ever again. There's so many things to go along with that. So many different thoughts. New York subway surfing claims its latest victim. People are dumb. People are freaking dumb. Thrill-seeking Brooklyn teenager lost his life Thursday after subway surfing. The latest to do so is a concerning trend, according to the New York Post. Gentleman Fraser, 14, was found lying on the platform in the Rawson Street station in Queens after allegedly trying to surf the Northbound 7 train, according to the New York Post. The NYPD said his injuries indicated he fell from an elevated height. The perpetrated member of the group is Urban Explorers. Fraser was a 4th teen to die in subway surfing in 2023, more than at least 3 years combined. the outlet reported. The NYPD began tallying reported incidents of subway surfing this year, counting the least 66 reports as of June 22nd, according to the outlet. Fraser's alleged urban explorer group reportedly numbered in the hundreds and includes performances of stunts like riding the subway cars, breaking into abandoned buildings, and even lying on the subway tracks while a moving train passes over them. A fellow member of Fraser's group, identified as ROP, told the Post. Oh, Rap said most of the group briefly swore off the dangerous stunt after another member, 15-year-old Kayvon Wooden, died subway surfing in December. Fraser's death was now apparently reinforced the commitment. Now this happened and they took a vow to stop for sure, Rap told the Post. I know this is hypocritical for me to say, but please just stop surfing. So they're all going to stop surfing. They're actually going to attempt to actually stop being morons and climbing up on metro trains, which is illegal in itself. Even if they did make it to the next station safely, climb off, if arrested, they could actually have been charged with trespassing of some sort, as they were on public property where they shouldn't have been. It's not theirs. It's not their train. There's the young man there that sadly decided to take his own in a unique fashion. Subway surfing. So many alleged things happened. Just alleged. No, there's evidence, but it's still alleged. Alleged Indiana teen carjacker arrested after woman shot. 17-year-old armed carjacking suspect allegedly led authorities to high-speed chase after allegedly shooting a 44-year-old woman Friday, according to Indiana authorities. Allegedly led, allegedly chased, allegedly shot, allegedly. Lake County Sheriff's Department responded to the report of carjacking just before 7:30. According to Sheriff Oscar Martinez Jr., the victim reportedly sustained life-threatening injuries, was immediately transported to Chicago Hospital for urgent medical treatment. Porter Police Department received information through the licensing plate reader camera, and reportedly stolen vehicle was on U.S. Highway 20. PPD wrote in the news release. Coincidentally, the PPD officer assigned to the traffic safety notice that the vehicle reportedly traveling at 75 miles an hour. The officer attempted to initiate a stop, but the suspect accelerated, frequently going over 120 to evade arrest. The suspect repeatedly reportedly lost control of the allegedly stolen vehicle. It's how is it alleged? You're chasing this car. It's in front of you. While navigating the curve, crashing in the wooded area. During the crash, the suspect was partially ejected through the windshield. Calling out for assistance, officers swiftly took control of the situation, removing the suspect from the wrecked car and placing him under arrest. Officers transported the teenager to hospital medical attention. He was then brought to Lake County Juvenile Corrections and placed in custody. The suspect is facing multiple charges, including resisting law enforcement, theft of a motor vehicle, reckless driving, never having received a license, and 2 traffic citations. During the investigation, officers learned that the suspect had just been released from custody in Illinois and similar charges of armed carjacking. The suspect is a 17-year-old juvenile. His name and information will not be released at this time. The charges relating to the initial carjacking incident in Lake County remain undisclosed at this time. A juvenile running around. I don't care. You're 17 years old. You're running around. You just got yourself out of being detained. Now you're running around the streets as a 17-year-old thinking that you're still a juvenile. You can get away with it. Hurry up. I think anything and everything that you just did, you get charged as an adult. for being a second charge that happened as a minor. This kid should get locked up for the rest of his life, and or maybe buried under the jail. I mean, something's just not right with people these days, and they think it's all right to allegedly lead authorities on high-speed chases, allegedly shoot people, allegedly go too fast, allegedly crash your car that's not yours. All these alleged things that this alleged juvenile had done. So many things wrong with it. Just so many things wrong. Madcore Mofo's back. What is up? Good to see you, brother. It might have been loaned to them. Maybe. I doubt it. Let's see what's this here. It's just something a little lighter to actually just kind of break up the show a little bit. Oregon groups create segregated hiking trails for Black people. There are groups of state Oregon creating segregated hiking paths for Black people so they don't have to encounter someone who might be prejudiced. It's absurd that the obsession with race is now permeated our society to the point of hiking trails have to be a safe space for easily triggered. We have become a country of wussified beta males and females who believe they are perpetual victims. This kind of racial segregation does nothing but reinforce the idea that racism is a good thing, which is exactly what our country has battled to overcome. And it's being pushed by the left, who claims to do all the things in the names of the victims of the hateful racism. We're slowly headed for a full circle moment. Something just a little bit lighter for you there. So this is the state of Oregon. The state of Oregon has actually come out and actually said they have actually created hiking paths that are racially segregated. Does that make you feel better? Does that make you feel better now? Do we all feel much better about ourselves that we can actually go to the point that we can't even walk in the woods? That we're going to be afraid to walk in the woods because we might run into somebody that might scare us? What the hell? 13 ships will be based in Japan. Yeah, they will. I'm going to kind of kick some of these out. Some of these don't need to be read. He uses his state to attempt to block new law that erodes city's power. Death Star. House Bill 2127. Houston officials sued the state of Texas on Monday to stop a sweeping law aimed at gutting all kinds of local ordinances and sapping the power of the state's bluer urban areas. The law, House Bill 2127, dubbed the Death Star bill, by opponents, has signed into law by Governor Abbott in June, marking Texas Republicans' biggest attempt to kneecap local governments and this years-long assault in Texas's major metropolitan areas, often governed by Democrats. Sounds like something similar to trying to actually stop or create a different form of gerrymander of sorts, whatever, something that they're actually trying to get away from doing almost everywhere. But it seems as like every state is actually dealing with these redistricting deals that are actually happening. And Texas is not prone to actually being one of those states that you'll see some changes, you'll see some redistricting, you'll see some movement, because the movement of people, the movement of the people is going to change that stuff as well. Suzanne, back to bed. Have a great stream. Thank you, dear. You sleep well. You sleep well. There's so many things that are actually happening in and around the United States. This, dubbed as Death Star, is pretty much going to remove several other laws that were put into play to actually keep them from doing what they want. So the law prevents cities and counties from creating local ordinances that go further than allowed under broad areas of state law. This attempt to overturn cities' progressive policies. Among those policies are mandated water breaks in construction workers in Dallas and Austin to components of the law that gained more criticism as Texas experiences a drastic summer heat wave. Leaders of local governments across the state criticized the proposal as a massive power grab that would upend how the state is operated for nearly a century and prevent them from responding to local needs. Under the new state law, cities and counties would not pass local rules that touch the broad fields regulated by the state law, like labor, agriculture, finance, natural resources, and laws broad language. They have argued makes it difficult to determine which local ordinances are now illegal and will prompt a litany of lawsuits. In Houston, the law would overturn local ordinances regulating tow truck companies, outdoor music festivals, noise regulations, and broadening homes. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner said at a Monday press conference, but the full extent of what local laws would become illegal remain unclear. So it's moving lines, it's moving city lines, county lines, changing district laws and regulations and things, and moving. You're really going to confuse your citizenry. Citizenry is going to do things that they think that they've always had the permission to do. And you're actually going to take away from that. You're going to actually remove it, and you're going to take it to the point where the citizenry is really going to have an issue not breaking the law, especially if they're used to doing something. They're used to certain regulations, and those regulations go away. It's not going to be a good thing. Man arrested near Obama home for threatened other prominent lawmakers, officials say. I really didn't do a good job with the lineup tonight. It really seriously is everywhere. Our man arrested near the home of former President Barack Obama was threatened over lawmakers, according to the federal prosecutors. Taylor Toronto, 37, was arrested in Colorama neighborhood of Washington, D.C. on June 29th after making online threats against Mr. Obama. Materials to make Molotov cocktails were located in his vehicle. Mr. Toronto was alleged to have suggested that he was going to attempt to enter Mr. Obama's home via tunnels. Mr. Toronto has recently recorded himself threatening Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California and Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin in Maryland, who had also suggested that he was going to attack the facility holding a nuclear research reactor in Maryland's suburbs. Prosecutors revealed on Wednesday, according to the Washington Post. The prosecutors requested that the judge put Mr. Toronto in jail pending a trial. He managed to evade law enforcement for almost a day before his arrest on the 29th of June in a wooded area close to the Obama residence. Not a good idea to go after any president, former or current, in any way, shape, or form, as that could actually give you a long life of trouble for this guy to actually be attempting to do certain things to multiple political figures. Might actually bring him a couple more charges that he may have not expected. Some sadness. Florida boy killed in stray bullet during July 4th fight over jet skis. So this 7-year-old Florida boy was fatally shot in a stray bullet on Tuesday during a fight over jet skis. The child, whose name was released, was shot in the head by the gunfire broke out near a picnic area in the Courtney Campbell Causeway in Tampa. The boy's grandfather tried to protect the youngster by pulling him into a vehicle and was struck on the finger by the same bullet. Authorities later determined that the shootout stemmed from an argument over jet skis in a nearby boat launch. One group was mad because the second group was riding their jet skis too close to the shore. The shooter was careless and let anger take over. As of Wednesday afternoon, no arrests have been made, and the police were urging the public to come forward with information. My temper got the best of me. I decided to pull out my gun. Bang, bang. Really? Fucking really? Turn yourself in. Just imagine if that was your child that the killed over this, Johnson implored the shooter, adding that he was very angry about the senseless tragedy. We need to do better as a community, really, as Americans, he lamented. Of course he did. Of course he did. Because he feels very strongly about the situation. He just took away a young man's life just so senselessly, so ridiculously, so pointlessly, using your pew pew machine to do what it is that you wanted it to do, to scare somebody. And look what you did. There's a better way to deal with anything going on other than going in that firearm. Of course, there's lots of other things could have actually de-escalated the situation. Our detectives were working tirelessly until he involved and identified and arrested. The Tampa boys shooting it took place hours before the spat of the gunfire across New York City killed 2 people and injured 9. 5 of the shootings took place in the Bronx, prompting New York PD level 4 mobilization response. I don't really care about the rest of it. When it comes down to what I care about is this young man. This young man that got removed from the face of the planet so unnecessarily by the ignorance of some asshole. Because he felt it was necessary to shoot at somebody for driving or riding their jet ski too close to where you didn't like. Horrible, disgusting, disturbing. Actress Allison Mack was pled guilty to connection to a sex trafficking organization, released early from prison. The actress who pled guilty to the charges of connection to the sex trafficking operation has been released early from prison. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons recording, Allison Mack was released from federal prison in Dublin, California, near San Francisco on Monday, a full year before her sentence was scheduled to be concluded. On June 2021, Mack was sentenced to serve 3 years in prison after she pled guilty to racketeering conspiracy in her role in I don't know what this number is. It's too much. It's too big of a number for me to actually figure it out. I don't remember what the N and the M were. It's a very big number. Anybody that wants to actually give me that big, very, very big number, go ahead. Throw it at me. She's joined in 2006. They'll build the company offering seminars of personal development and self-improvement. Based in Albany, was soon considered a cult by 2015 founder Keith Raniere, was formed an otherwise all-female subgroup called DOS. Mack and other female leaders of DOS, known as First Line Masters, recruited women to become sex slaves. And Raniere, who was either way, I don't care about the story. All I care about is the trafficking that over and over happens by so many people. For this person to be released a whole year early, is that really the best thing for this person? Did this person seriously go through the treatment necessary to not do it again? Obviously, they're disturbed in the first place where they'd actually do such a thing. So bad. So bad. Mother claimed her son went missing 8 years ago. Kept him locked inside her home. Did things to him abusive wise and made him take hallucinogenic mushrooms and treated him like a slave, counselor claims. So, this phrase, we've actually talked about this person just a little bit ago here. Again, my articles are not in the right order. This is the person that was just found on the steps after 8 long years. He's actually coming forward and he's actually pointing at the mother. He's actually pointing at the mother. She did it. She did this stuff to him. She ruined his life. I told you, the show's not set up correctly. If this should have been, a couple hours ago, and it should have led from one thing to the next. I knew that this was here, but until I was seeing it again, I was like, oh, that's right. So young man that's been missing for so long hadn't really been missing. Had not really been missing. It was the mom's ignorance. It's very scary. It's very sad. Very sad. We're going to actually close this one because I don't care about this particular person. Some of this at the end is actually a little bit more in line with me actually being organized. Looks like Ben & Jerry's headquarters sits on land stolen from Indians. They get what they actually, practice what you preach. If you're going to preach something, actually, think about it before you do it. This is the insufferable left-wing fascists and anti-Semites known as Ben & Jerry have headquarters that sits on land that's almost certainly stolen from the Indians. The glorious news comes one day after the 4th of July. The insufferable left-wing fascists and anti-Semites known as Ben & Jerry decided to troll America, the most tolerant country in the world, history with the nonsense press release headline, "The U.S. is founded on stolen indigenous land. This July 4th, let's commit to returning it." The left-wing fascists and anti-Semites known as Ben & Jerry then suggest, here's why we need to start with Mount Rushmore. The release goes on to whine about how what is now Mount Rushmore was stolen from the Sioux, undoubtedly by the same federal government Ben & Jerry would like to see control everyone's life. Well, according to the couple of sources, I'd like to amend the press release to say, here's why we need to start with Ben & Jerry's Vermont headquarters, because guess what? The left-wing fascist anti-Semites known as Ben & Jerry likely built their own headquarters on land stolen from, you guessed it, the Indians. We have concluded that the company's occupation at Abenaki lands is illegal. We believe it was wholly inconsistent with the stated values of Ben & Jerry's reports of the maintain. Ironically, in July of the last year, you announced that you would discontinue the sale of products in Israel because you object to the Jewish state allegedly occupying Palestinian territories. Ben & Jerry's has never offered to provide compensation to this indigenous nation of Vermont. Justice, morality, and boycotts are not just slogans and anti-Semitic weapons of food companies to point to the Jewish community of Israel. Justice and morality must begin at home. What it comes down to is the ignorance of these two going around and actually spreading their ignorance. Spreading their ignorance to let people, let people know how they feel, and tank their company in the process. The letter goes on the demand of the left-wing imperialists known as Ben and Jerry immediately vacate the stolen land it occupies in South Burlington, Waterbury, and St. Albans is return of the stolen land to the Abenaki people. The letter explains that Ben and Jerry's imperialist company has no right to these stolen territories. Legal instruction adds that the University of Vermont, which is mere 3 miles away from Ben and Jerry's Burlington headquarters, was acknowledged this theft. The UVM has a program acknowledged that the University of Vermont rests upon the traditional territory of the original inhabitants of this land, the Abenaki people. And the state of Vermont now occupies lands of the Mohican and Pennacook tribes. We acknowledge that the indigenous peoples were forced to leave Vermont during the 1600s and the eastern tribes were displaced by colonial expansion. All of which goes to show how stupid this is when it comes to how the federal government treated the American Indian. I'm second to none in my disgust. The 400-year war for the American West was filled with atrocities on both sides, but America was not a gracious victor, especially when it came to honoring treaties. The American Indians were also the first victims of federal gun control laws, but let's not skirt around the inconvenient fact of Western European is not responsible for introducing land stealing, slavery, genocide in North America. Long before Europeans arrived, plenty of indigenous peoples went to war over the indigenous peoples to steal their land and enslave the captors. Some tribes completely wiped out other tribes, which is, wait for it, genocide. So, how exactly is this supposed to work? How far back do we go? Well, as far as that goes, as far as I'm concerned, it's been done. There's nothing you can do to return it the way it was. Too bad, so sad. Wish we could have done better. There's nothing we can do now. What if it's discovered in the stolen land is now Mount Rushmore? Do we search for the ancestral victims of the Sioux and return the Mount Rushmore to them? What if those ancestral victims are sitting in the land the ancestors stole from? I think they get my point, and it's a good one. Oh, and what if it's discovered by the Abenaki stole the land of the left-wing imperialists known as Ben and Jerry's currently occupy? Who do we give all this land to? Eventually, all these dumb reparation demands will lead back to the descendants of Adam and Eve. Well, good news. That's all of us. It's all of us. Every single last one of us. Isn't that something fun? Ben and Jerry don't care about the facts and complications. Their job, just like the wealthy crybabies who continue to complain about slavery, is to pick the scab so our country can never heal. Ben and Jerry don't care about American Indian. All they care about is the agenda, which is to tear down Western civilization, form a centralized government, and rule over the people while they live in their mansions and eat, well, ice cream, not cake. Ice cream. Oh, so many disturbing people in this world. Colorado teen gunned down by abusive ex-boyfriend as terrified baby brother hid in next room. People are disgusting, disturbing. Colorado teenager is accused of gunning down a 15-year-old ex-girlfriend and terrified baby brother listened to the slaughter of the nearby bedroom. Giovanni Sergio Cardona, 16, allegedly shot Lily Silva Lopez 7 times from mere feet of her little brother on June 16th. So Cardona and the victim were dated for about 6 months before she ended the relationship 4 weeks prior. At about 3:45 p.m., Soria Cardona crawled through Sylvia Lopez's bedroom window as she yelled for her little brother, who was watching TV in another room, to run for his life, according to the affidavit obtained by Denver 7. The boy hid in the bedroom and tried to dial 911 when he heard the gunshots. He told detectives he peered into the hallway and saw his sister on the ground, blood dripping from his nose, standing over her lifeless body. Serial Cardona was clutching a black handgun with a green scope, according to the court documents cited on the local news station. The boy begged his sister's alleged killer not to shoot him. Serial Cardona demanded the 13-year-old's cell phone so he couldn't call the police and dragged the girl's body into her bedroom before fleeing. The Northridge High School junior was pronounced dead on the scene with that one bullet tore through his trailer, narrowly missing him. The neighbor. Serial Cardona's controlling abusive behavior has allegedly escalated since they split, when Sylvia Lopez told her beau that it was over a month prior to the murder. He allegedly put the barrel of the gun into her mouth and told her she wasn't going to break up with him and she needed to tell him she loved him. Talk about domestic violence. Young girl confided in the family member who related the accounts of the police of the death, according to the court records. 6 days before the shooting, Serial Cardona allegedly punched her in the face and injured her arm, according to the domestic violence complaint. After the alleged murder, why they didn't actually pick this guy up sooner, why he was actually allowed to actually continue to run the streets, to actually go around and actually find and aggravate this young lady to the point where he actually goes ahead and he actually removes her from the face of the planet in front of her poor little brother, who now gets to live with that for the rest of his life because this asshole decided he wanted to actually do such a thing. What the hell's wrong with people? So much wrong. Just so much wrong. This is Florida man beat cheating his wife. Oh, we already read that one. I told you. I had a couple things that were actually kind of. Woman 69 attacked and killed by alligator while walking her dog. That was not. If you heard that wrong, that was woman at the age of 69 was attacked and killed by an alligator while walking her dog. So, we played this terrifying moment of this alligator chasing a fisherman out of the South Carolina area, whatever, last week. Last week that happened. So now this week, 69-year-old woman was attacked and killed by an alligator while walking a dog in Hilton Head, South Carolina. The woman was mauled by a 10-foot alligator in the edge of the lagoon in the Spanish Wells community of the Hilton Head Island, and Beaufort County Sheriff's Office said. You heard that, did you, Ben? First responders weren't immediately able to reach her as the male animal appeared to be guarding her body. What the sheriff's office said, the Beaufort County coroner identified her as Holly Jenkins. The alligator was later removed and euthanized. Okay, so now it can no longer attack anybody else. It attacked somebody last week. It attacked somebody this week. It was finally about time because, okay, let's take care of it because it finally actually attacked somebody and physically caused harm. Now we get to actually interrupt and interfere in what is going on with this particular alligator. The woman's dog was found nearby unharmed. Yeah, he didn't care about the dog. He wanted her. Jenkins is a longtime resident of Spanish Wells, whose family was visiting at the time of the fatal attack. She was the second person to die from the alligator attack in Beaufort County in the past year. 88-year-old Sun City woman was attacked by the alligator in the lagoon near her home in August 2022. In a previous attack, the alligator was appeared to guard the victim's body, authorities said at the time. Very, very defensive, agitated alligators. If you're going to be going hiking around in the mountains, in anywhere, and it's triple-digit heat, you might want to actually think about it anyway and not go. Here you got a hiker at age 57 dies off the 8-mile Grand Canyon Trail amid triple-digit heat. You don't damn fault. I'm glad that you had fun, But, at the same time, woman, maybe you shouldn't have actually taken yourself out and gone hiking in triple degree weathers. Does it not make sense? Why would you do such a thing? 57-year-old woman died during the hike in the Grand Canyon. Arizona's temperature soared into the triple digits. The U.S. Park Ranger received a report of a distressed hiker on Sunday around 6:30 p.m. at the National Park Service. The woman was traversing through the Teweep area of the park, and the region's temperatures reached about 100 degrees. The hiker was pronounced dead at approximately 1 a.m. Monday. About 1 a.m. Monday. Obviously, they had a problem getting to this particular person if it went from 6:30 that the report came out to 1 a.m. 5.5 hours later. 5.5 hours later. Just hang out in the AC. Yeah, exactly. Don't be hanging out, going walking up and through the. You go hiking in 100 degrees out. Jerry Lass, good to see you. I have sleeping 1-year-old in my arms. Love being a story at home dad. My daughter's been playing babysitter all week, making my job much easier. She's really good for a 6-year-old. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Glad that you're around. Hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. We've got a few articles left. We're about ready to cut it out for tonight. Boyfriend learns fate is stabbing 21-year-old woman to death, breaking knife in her skull. There's so much disturbance and so many mentally disturbed people on the face of the planet that they're doing things beyond necessary to brutalize life. It's so disturbing. So disturbing. A gag order issued in the case of father accused of killing 3 sons. So this is the young man that we actually talked about last week, where he was actually standing and he actually lined up his children, eliminating them slowly in front of his wife. He issued a gag order. This man does not get to speak of or about his crimes that he'd committed to anybody other than his lawyer. Assuming that actually came to the point because of what it was, actually did get picked up nationally very quickly. He's facing 9 charges and being held without bond. Here you go. Here's his next trial, September 12th, 2023. This is something that we're going to hear from again in the future. There's going to be a lot of people that will be like, I don't remember that. I get it. Nursing student allegedly buried alive by stalker. There's so much ugliness in this world. Nursing student was abducted and jilted ex-boyfriend buried alive in Australia's Flinders Ranges in a horrific act of vengeance. Jasmine Kerr, 21, of Adelaide, was killed by Tarakjot Singh in March 2021. Singh pled guilty to murder, but horrific new details of the crime came to light during the sentencing submissions to the Supreme Court on Wednesday. Jasmine was abducted by a workplace on March 5th and driven more than 400 miles while bound with a cable ties and her boot. Singh then made superficial cuts of Jasmine's throat and buried her in a shallow grave. The injuries in her neck were not enough to kill her. She was aware of her surroundings when she died at the same point on March 6th. Prosecutors Carmen Mateo said the murder was not efficient and Jasmine was made to suffer. Sick fuck. How disturbing can you be to actually bring yourself to the point of doing such a thing to anybody else? Knives are sharp. Kids scream a lot. Jay-Z's with it tonight. Jay-Z's got the points. Got the points. Listen to Jay-Z. She had to have consciously suffering from what could have described as an absolute terror of breathing in and swallowing soil and dying in that way. Of course, family included her mother, where in court she heard the sentencing submissions. Jasmine was murdered 1 month after reporting Singh to the police in the stalking. The court heard Singh planned the killing because he was unable to get over the breakdown of their relationship. The breakdown of the relationship. Every single time. Guys, really? Don't let these women get to you like that. If you're letting these women get to you because of relationship just wasn't working out, and you couldn't actually find yourself moving on, finding anything better than what that person is actually allowing, or whatever, you really seriously, guys, need to actually ask for help. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to somebody. Somebody will actually have a heart, will actually listen to your woes when it comes to such a deal. I could not imagine somebody feeling that they just couldn't do such a thing and removing themselves, as I know why my older brother actually did just exactly that all the way back in 1998. So I mean, it's just sad and disturbing. If you need something, reach out to people. People are willing to actually help you and love you as a person as long as you can. It's very sad that somebody actually did this. Superficial, buried alive. We're not going to go over stolen indigenous land again. Like I said, lots of different stuff going through tonight. Tyson Foods will remove no antibiotics label on some chicken products. No antibiotics label is going to be removed. In other words, your chicken will have antibiotics if it doesn't say so. Pay attention to what you're eating. Not doing this. Left just using AI to rewrite Bible and talk to God. Not doing it. Not doing it tonight. I'm gonna actually remark it so that it's there. Not saying that's ever gonna happen. Long 4th of July weekend for Indiana Jones 5. Bombs, tanks, worthless, was not worth a penny drop on it. Worst movie ever, to go along with what could potentially be the worst series of movies that anybody's ever produced ever. Tell me I'm wrong. Go for it. Protesters halt play at Wimbledon after throwing jigsaw puzzle onto court. So, just a little fun here at the end. Somebody goes in the Spread jigsaw puzzle all over the court, halting game. They made a mess. They made a mess. They say it's jigsaw. That didn't look like jigsaw puzzle. This is jigsaw puzzle and confetti. Ah, you know how much of a pain in the ass that would be to actually clean up before they could actually proceed to play tennis? Worthless, pointless people. The Disney Agreement Syndicate. Yeah, pretty much what it is, isn't it? Pretty much what it is. Last one. Oh, nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. That was the last one. Not going to do it. I'm done with Joe Biden for the night. I'm done with Hunter Biden for the night. I'm done about with complaining and bitching about people being stupid. I really seriously feel bad for the people that felt necessary to actually bring their lives to the point of feeling they need to remove somebody else's. It's very sad to actually think about. With all of that being said, again, thank you all so very much for actually donating here tonight. I appreciate it so very, very much. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like buttons. Share the stuff out to those places you like to share things. Do yourself a favor and check out americashirtsaretfirst.com. Only the most base shirts on the planet. Use promo code Koolfrogg and you get 15% off anything in the store. I love you all so very, very much. I appreciate you. To keep in mind as you actually work your way through the rest of this week. Thursday night, yes, there is something coming up. I am going camping Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I may be back for a Sunday show. I may not. We'll see. We'll see for sure, but I am definitely not going to be here for Friday, and I will not be here for Saturday night. Those nights I will be disconnected. I'm going camping. And I'm not going to actually turn around. I'm not going to be one of those that's going to be like, I need my digital devices for a few days. Nope. It's not even going to come with. Don't need it. And I'm so glad that I get to actually have those few days off. Again, appreciate y'all so much. Whoop, pee on a tree for me. Okay. Sounds good, I guess. I'll do that just for you. We'll see you all so very soon. Love y'all. Later.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.